a new Java project here. So let me just call that new CSE114 Spring 16 and Week 08 Lab 2. Okay, so I'm gonna create the classes quickly. So first of all, I need the course. Okay, I also need the student record. Okay, also student record. I also have registration system. Okay, and one more, registration system tester. Okay, let's go to the course first. Okay, for the course we have over there. Okay, let me just have my handouts. Okay, each course has a name, number of credits, so string name. Okay, integer, let's say, number of credits. Okay, and also if that's mandatory or not, you can say Boolean is mandatory. Okay, and then you have the final letter grade. Okay, we can use the character, assuming that there's no A+ or B-, etc. Character letter grade. Okay, let me know if I missed anything, but I think that's it. Okay, so now for the constructor here, because we only set the letter grade of the course at the end of the semester, not when the course was first created. So we do not have to include a letter grade as part of the constructor. So we can say that course constructor here, we're going to take string name, integer, number of credits, and also Boolean, whether it's mandatory or not. I'll say it's mandatory. Okay, IM. Okay, now I'm going to set name to be n, and number of credits to be number of credits, and also is mandatory is assigned to IM. So you can see the only thing that I didn't assign is letter grade. Okay. So what I need here is a mutator method for me to set the letter grade later. So I'd say void set letter grade. Incredibly loud. Set letter grade. So over here I can say character letter grade LG. Okay, and then I can say letter grade is assigned to LG. Okay, so far so good. So now, meanwhile, let me just go to student registration tester. Just create some courses first. So in our registration system tester, we got a main method there. Okay, so now we can say course. Let's say CSE114 assigned to new course. Okay, let's say CSE114. You can even say computer science 1 if you like. Yeah, I'll just say CSE114. That's fine. How many credits are there? 3? 4? Okay. And it is mandatory, so that's true. Give me a course that's not mandatory for you. What's the course that's not mandatory? Well, everything's mandatory. Can we say, let's say physics is not mandatory, okay? Physics, do you say it's 131? Let's say it is not mandatory, although it's not true. Course, physics 131. And 4 credits? 3. Oh, really? Okay. And then let's say it's not mandatory. So let's say physics 131 is optional, let's say. So now we got 2 courses, okay? Okay, that's how you do it, okay? You can also run a debugger and try to print out the information, okay? You can do that yourself. And let's go back to student record, okay? For student record, we have attributes there. Let's see, we got student ID. So string, I'll just say ID. and also first name, last name, string, first name, string, last name, and also program of study. I'll just say program. And then also year of entrance, integer, year of entrance, integer, year of completion, graduation, which might be delayed. Okay, and also the list of registered courses. Okay, for this one here, we have to use a list of registered courses. So you're gonna find this kind of data type very common. So we need to have, let's just say, call that courses. Okay, and then the type is gonna be an array. Square brackets for array. Now, what's the type of each element? That's something we have to declare. Course. We used to say just integer or string, so now it's a course. Okay. So this means something very important to note. So this means every element in this courses array is going to store an address of some course objects. Okay, it's going to store an address, not the entire course objects. Okay. Just like if I'm gonna write it in comments for you. Each element in the courses array stores the address of some course objects. This is similar to, okay, let me just write some line for you. Okay, when you declare course C, this means C stores the address of some course objects. Okay, similar idea. So now it's just that each element in the array stores the address. When you only declare course C, that's a single course, right? C only stores the address. But now each element in the array stores the address. Okay, that's something to contrast. Any questions? No? Okay. Okay, that's good for now. We will need one extra attribute in a moment, but I wouldn't introduce that until we need it. Okay. So now let's define the constructor for the course, for the students record. Okay, so students record over here. So now, let's say we can, some attributes maybe, for example, let's say when we first create some student record, let's say your record when you first enter student career, you don't necessarily know what courses you want to take. Okay, you can actually add them up later. Okay, so let's say we're gonna fill in all the information here: ID, first name, last name, program, year of entrance, year of graduation, except for the courses. Let's say. Okay, so we can have string student ID and also string. Let's make it more interesting. Let's say I don't pass the name over here, just ID. Okay, student ID and also the program. Not even program. What about just ID? Just make a very simple constructor, just that. So now that means I'm only going to assign ID to be student ID. So this means if I try to create a student record objects using this constructor here, only the ID will be initialized. Everything else is going to be either 0 or null, right? Just default values. So that means we need some mutator methods to set them up. Okay, let's do that. Okay, I think that might be more beneficial for your assignments. We'll see. Okay, only the ID. But nothing should stop you to say later on you may want to change your student ID as well for whatever reason. You can say set ID is going to be string new ID. ID is equal to new ID. And I'm going to show you something very cool. Okay, so this kind of setting a single attribute mutator is called a setter in Java. Okay, you'll be amazed. These can be generated automatically in Eclipse. I'm going to show you. Let me get rid of that. Let's say I would like to have the mutated method like that for every attributes. What you gotta do is to select them over here. So I'm gonna select everything here because I want to create mutator methods for all of them. Okay. Don't worry about the courses, it's array. We're gonna do something later. Right click and then go to, I believe, source, and then go to generates, getters, and setters. Do you see that? Okay, go there and then choose the attributes you would like to create the setter for. You can say first name, ID, last name, program, year of entrance, year of graduation. Okay, you can choose to see where to put them. Okay, I can say I'll put them, doesn't matter, put them after the ID attributes. Okay, I think that's all you gotta do. So we're gonna generate the setters and getters. Okay, and then you can now say okay. So now we got this code generated for you. Okay, you can see, for example, here, you can see here we have something called get ID. It's an accessor. You simply just return ID. Okay, we have also set ID. So this is something that's interesting. So it's going to set ID for you. However, this keyword here, you haven't learned that yet. Okay, you can simply take it for granted for now. Okay, somehow, yeah. Let me just briefly explain. I'll cover this keyword maybe next Friday. Okay. What it's saying here is I'm trying to do set ID, but the name of the parameter is the same as the attributes, right? Because we declared an attribute called ID. So now somehow this keyword here is saying this.id refers to the attributes. And the ID here on the right hand side refers to the parameter. Okay. Maybe that's too confusing. So why don't we don't worry about this for now? Let me just undo. And let's just type it out. Okay? So if you're watching the video, so forget about what I just said in the last 2 minutes. Okay. So wipe out your memory for the last 2 minutes, okay? So now let's do the mutators. Okay. I didn't realize it's that confusing. Okay, now let's do let's say void set ID new string new ID. Okay, ID is assigned to new ID. Much better, right? Okay. Okay, ID and void set first name string let's say FN. Okay, first name, FN. Okay, and be a little bit lazy here. Set last name, I'll say LN, and last name would be LN. Okay, first name, last name, program. Okay, year of entrance. Okay, and then void set program and string, I'll say P. Okay, so you would say program is assigned to P. Okay, and then set year of entrance, year of graduation. Year of entrance, I'll say Y. Year of entrance is going to be Y. And finally, you're going to set the year of, that should be integer. The year of graduation. Set year of graduation. Year of graduation, and then Y. Okay, so now let me just do the tester very quickly. Okay, so now if you go to the tester here, so now let's create a new student record. Student record, I would say record, let's say R1 for record 1. Is equal to new student record. Let's say it's gonna be some string. Let's say 111. Let's say that's the student ID. Okay, so now all the other attributes for R1 was uninitialized. They just got the default values. So that's called the relevant mutator method to set. That's R1.set. First name, for example, let's say it's Jin R1 dot set last name to be Davis. R1 dot set program. Let's say he studies CSE. R1 dot set year of entrance. Let's say 2016. R1 dot set year of graduation. Let's say it's a 4-year program, so 2020. Something like that. Okay. So you need these kind of mutative methods to set the attributes that were not initialized in the constructor. Okay, so now I'm going to ignore other, like a delay, graduation year, etc. That's quite easy. I think that most of you actually got that part. So now I'd like to focus on how you can add a course into the students' courses. Okay, for example, let's say we would like to register Jim for CSE114 and Physics 131. That's something we would like to do. Okay. So now let me just describe to you the idea, and then we'll do that in Java. That's the most important thing for today. Okay. Before I do that, let me just write one more line in the constructor. If you go back to student record here, let's make some assumption. Let's say students can register up to 5 courses, for example, let's say. Okay, so now in the constructor here, so did we define any constructor for student record? I thought we did, right? Oh, here, yeah, here. Okay, so now in the constructor here, we're going to initialize an array of size 5. That's what we're going to do in the constructor. Which means when you first create a student record, although you're not going to register any courses for the students, but you're just going to create the array so that it's not null. Okay, that's what we're going to do. I'm going to draw the diagram in a moment for you. Okay, we're going to do this with say courses is assigned to new array course, and let's say 5, like that. Okay, so now if I run the debugger to show you quickly, so now I'll go to tester here. Can we put a breakpoint in this line here right before we initialize the student record over here? Okay, if you do run debug as Java application. Okay, so now we're here, over here. Okay, so now if you step into it, so now we're so now if you step into it, so now we're in the student record constructor here. So you can see somehow we're going to set the ID to be 111. Okay, so now you can see this current student object there. The courses is still null. The array is not pointing to anything. So now let's execute line by line. So we're going to set the ID to be 111, as you can see, 111 there. Okay, now this line here, we're going to change the courses from null into an array of size 5. If you do that, you can see that now courses becomes an array of size 5, but every slot is simply pointing to null, which means we don't have any valid courses yet registered for the students. But our goal is to somehow to say we want to set 114 to be the first course and Physics 131 to be the second course. That's what we want to do. Okay, just to give you some idea. Okay, let's stop that and then go back. That's pretty good. So now, I would like to define a method in the student record class to say, I can always say, this is something I would like to say. Let me go back to tester again. So now you can say, register 2 courses for R1, record 1, student record 1. So I want to say something like this, R1 dot add course. And here I can simply just pass the course I would like to register. In this case, I can say CSE114. Remember, CSE114 is the course objects we just created, right? That's something I would like to say. Okay. And also, I want to say r1.addCourse physics 131. Okay, so these are how I expect to use the method I'm going to define in a moment. Of course, they wouldn't compile because I haven't defined the method yet. Just put them into comments for now. Okay, that's something we'll comment back. Okay, now let me show you what the addCourse is supposed to do. Okay. So now we have two courses objects. We have C1, which I may have to run over another 10 minutes, if that's okay. Yeah, I'll try to finish this. Okay. We have course. Okay, so that's just CSE114. Okay, I'm gonna ignore other attribute there. Okay, I also have C2, which is a course object. Okay, so now I also have a student record, R1. Okay, I'll just say SR for student record. And one of the attributes is called courses. And that one is simply an array, of course. And it's going to be an array of size 5. 0, 1, 2, 3, 4. 5 slots over there. Initially, all of them are null. Initially. This will be pointing to now, this will be pointing to now, 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 and now. Okay? So now, when I say r1 dot add course C1, also r1 dot add course C2, let's imagine what's going to happen in the diagram, and we're going to make it happen in the Java code. So now, first of all, when I say R1 that add course C1, somehow I want to set the first position of the courses array to point to C1, right? Somehow. So rather than pointing to null, this is going to point to here, because courses 0 is going to store an address of some course objects. In this case, because I registered C1 first, so that should point to there. Okay? So somehow I need to have a way to know the next time if I want to register for another course, I have to store that in the next position 1 rather than position 0. And this time, rather than pointing to null, it's going to point to C2. So far so good? No? Yes? No? Do you? Are you okay? Yeah, you look confused, so that's why I'm concerned. Okay, so now, that's what we want to do. The only tricky thing is, how do we know that this time is going to be position 0, the next time is position 1, and the next time should be position 2? I hope that sounds familiar to you. Remember what we did before. When you try to keep reading numbers or strings from the users, and you're trying to store those values into an array, we try to keep a counter, right? We're going to apply that idea here. Okay, so now that counter there is going to become one of the attributes that we're going to introduce right now. Okay, keep that in mind. Okay, so the counter somehow will be initially 0, and every time when we try to call the addCourse method, we're going to use that counter value to store into that position in the array. Okay, and then every time when we're done with the method, we have to increment that value by 1. Okay, that's what's going to happen. Okay, let's see how we can do this. The code is incredibly simple, actually. Let me show you. But the concept requires some thinking. If you go to StudentRecord here, so I'm going to introduce a new attribute here, integer, like a counter. So rather than calling that counter, you can say the number of courses. You know, remember when we did the city mileage example, we say number of cities. You know, the same idea. So now, let me just define the method here. So the order of the method doesn't really matter. So now it's going to be a void method. It's a mutator. You can say add course. Okay, and then it is going to take just one parameter of type course C, let's say. Okay, first of all, that's signature of the method. So now there are two things we got to do. First of all, we have to add C into the right position in the array of courses. And then we have to increment the counter. Two things we got to do. Okay. First of all, let's say we have to update courses at position number of courses. When we say it is assigned to C, remember C stores the address of some course, and now we are copying that address into the whatever slots that is referred to by number of courses here, right? Into there. That's pretty much like this, pointing an arrow from there. I'm going to run the debugger in a moment. After that, we're going to increment this value here, plus plus. We can see lots of similarity, right? The same idea. Which means every time when you're trying to call this method here, you're going to apply these two lines of code. It's like a loop in some way, every time when you try to call this method. I hope that's not too difficult. Right? Okay. Let's see. Okay, go back to the tester. We were done, actually. So now, let's see. We're going to uncomment these two lines of code. Okay, so now, try something here. So now, let's say system.out.println. Let's say we want to know what's the name of the first course of R1. Okay, you can say R1. It's a student record objects dot courses, right? It's the attributes array. The first course should be at index 0, and then for that particular course, we want to get its name. Okay, that's dot notation. I'll show you. You can also study that. I can put it in 2 lines. Okay. Okay, that's the name of the first course, and also we got the name of the second course. Okay, and the second course should be at index 1, since we added 2 courses. Let's just double check to see if this works. Okay, you can see R1.courses 1. Okay, if you look at the diagram here, let's see again. R1 refers to this object here. R1.courses refers to this array over here. R1.courses 0 refers to this course over here. And R1.courses at index 0 name refers to the name of this course over here. So you got to really navigate through the object structure. That's something you really have to draw yourself to really convince that that's really the way it works. Okay, let's run the program and make sure it works. Okay, CSE114 and Physics131. It seems to work. Finally, I would like to just show you how the addCourses method works. Finally, okay, and then we're done. So let me just remove the previous breakpoint over here. Okay, can we put a breakpoint over here when we said R1 the addCourse CSE114 right before we register for the very first course, right before that. So now when we say run debug as Java application, let's say we do that. Okay, so now we are here. Okay, so now if you look at the variables here, okay, let me just show you. Here, you can see, let's go into it. Okay, so now we are trying to execute addCourse method for the first time, right? So now you can see the course we are trying to see, the course we are trying to register is CSE114. Okay, so now the context objects, which is the student record, you can see now it's Jim, first name is Jim, and also for the courses, you can see all the 5 slots are still null. Okay, nothing there yet. Okay, so now you can see number of courses is currently just 0. That's just the default value for integer, just 0. So now we are trying to assign to the 0 index of the courses array, which is here. Okay, we are trying to assign to that the address that is stored in C, which is CSE114. Okay, if you try to execute that line there, you will see that now courses at index 0 is no longer null. It's now containing a course. And that course, guess what, is actually CSE114. So that part's done. But we want to make sure next time when you try to call the addCourse method again, it's going to assign to the next position, right? So that's why we have to increment the value of number of courses. If you do that, you can see now the number of courses has just become, sorry, not here. The number of courses has just become 1. Used to be 0, it's now 1. Okay, so that's the first call to addCourse to 114, right? So now we're going to call this addCourse method again, one more time. Okay, if you step into it now, you can see now the number of courses has been incremented to 1. So now that means we're going to store this C over here, which is Physics 131. We're going to store this course here in position 1 rather than 0. Okay, so now if we do that, let's see, the courses is here, array is here. You can see so far only the 0 position has been occupied, which is 114. And now if you do the this line here, you can see position 1 has now been registered. Okay, and that course has been changed to Physics 131. Okay, so now here number of courses used to be 1. We have to increment that again. Now it becomes 2, which means the next time when you try to register for the third course, it's going to store in position 2. Okay, and now that's why it works. Okay, let me stop here.